Thursday, September 18th. My name's Damon. His name's Sam. Welcome back to Damon Bruce Plus. Welcome back to Thinking Out Loud. We are co-streaming across both channels today, and it's great to have you here. Brought to you by Damon Bruce Plus, our good friends at the Dubliner West Portal, and we'll be telling you about Sleeper before it is all said and done today. But it is great to have you here again. Thank you so much for stopping on by. Sammy, always one of my favorite shows of the week. We're going to be talking about reflections in a rear view mirror and how this is a very good, natural, healthy thing to have on a football team.
Can we give Damon credit, everybody? The thumbnail that you clicked into that you were so excited about, can we just say, I just want to let everybody know. Now AI makes a lot of images for a lot of people now, okay? And you can try to create that. I will say one of the most difficult things to happen through AI, though, is not getting the faces skewed. If you were to say, give me an image of Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, talking about the Niners Week 3 game, it would give you versions of Brock and Mac Jones that have the name on the back of the jersey, but the faces would just look awful. It never gets it right. Damon, his skills as a graphic artist, I just want to let everybody know I'm so glad you're here for the thumbnail, but I think Damon needs a quick curtain call. That's it. It's a beauty. It's a beauty. Man in the mirror. Tip of the cap.
It's not often because I make most of my thumbnails around 11:30 at night when I'm high as a kite and about to play some college football on PlayStation 5. But I make the thumbnail and I looked at it and I'm like, cinema. This is good. I'm like, my little reflection thing. I flipped the video. I flipped the image. I was very, very proud of myself. This is no help at all to anyone who's listening to today's show on the podcast, but maybe you can see it there too.
But check it out.
I'm very, very, very proud of myself. Thank you, Sammy, for enjoying it as well. And look, I'm telling you, that rear view mirror,
it's real.
Sometimes let you know, if you're traveling along at the appropriate speed, or am I going a little too slow? Do I need to speed up? Do I need to slow down? Well, all I can tell you, Sammy, is that Brock Purdy's turf toe variant basically was his permission slip to take a week off of work. And for most people, even successful people, even driven people, if your employer tells you take a week off and we think it'll be good for you, you usually take that week off. Well, Brock gets to his week off and he's like, you know what? I'm going to put my uniform on and go out to practice anyways. And we can call it limited participation. And it is. I'm not ready to play against Arizona. I'm not trying to make the case that I'm about to play against Arizona because Mac Jones just had a really good game and he is filling the job that he was brought in to do. I kind of need him to do this job right now, but I don't want him getting too comfortable out there. I think for the very first time, Sammy, Brock Purdy felt Mac Jones on this roster, and he said to himself, I'm just going to go out there and remind everybody that, the old sheriff is still in town. We ain't in new sheriff territory, not yet.
And we've discussed this many times. The path to Brock Purdy being the quarterback of this team didn't involve. So in many ways, yes, of course, Brock fought hard to be in this position. But in the end, injury and opportunity landed on Brock Purdy. Yes, yep. He was drafted the last pick of the draft, no expectations whatsoever. And then through a series of events that he had nothing to do with, he gets a chance. Essentially, look, he could be Mullins, he could be Beathard, he could show flashes. It would have been just fine. There was nothing on. He didn't have to be anything when he got that start.
The chance that Brock Purdy got due to circumstances are the same chance that Trey Lance is being denied due to his circumstances. So it really is, how the universe's needle fell on Brock out of the sky, out of nowhere. He picked it up and he ran with it. And I think he absolutely sees Mac Jones could do that too. Mac Jones could be that guy. So I'm just going to let everybody know I'm still here.
and let me tell you, contract negotiations are not fun for the player. Now, you have an agent for this reason that you don't have to sit there and listen to everything, but your agent is relaying some of this back to you. So you're asking your agent every day, hey, what did they say? What did they say? What's the latest, right? That's happening. Yeah, you're playing and you're trying to put it behind you, but you know that you're about to go from making $500,000 to nearly $50 million. That's a conversation you want to have. That's a conversation that you want an update on, right? I mean, that's making a big difference in your life. So what's happening is the team is suggesting, we could do a lot of this with people like Brock Purdy. Maybe it's not maybe it doesn't have to be this Brock Purdy. It could be a Brock Purdy. And of course, Brock and his agent are saying, no. You couldn't do any of this with anybody else. You need this Brock Purdy right now in this moment. Well, that essentially is backed up by the contract. And now Brock says, all right, the team thinks I am the guy definitively. And then Mac Jones wins a game, wins a close game with what all of a sudden looks like a lively opponent. Saints definitely stuck around in that game. You know, Saints aren't as terrible because of what the Dolphins are doing, because of, frankly, what the Browns have looked like to this point, because of what the Bears look like. The Saints aren't far and away the worst team in the league right now.
Not wearing the dunce cap right away.
No. And frankly, Spencer Rattler has had the ball in his hand on a 4th down with a chance to tie or win a game 2 weeks in a row. So give the Saints credit, Kellen Moore, for having them in position to be competitive. We'll give them that. So Brock says, oh, maybe someone else could with this collection of players, because that's always the argument. Oh, Kyle Shanahan is scheming him up. Oh, the offense is so designed around Kittle and McCaffrey and Jennings and Ayuk when he's there and when Debo was there. And that's therefore what is leading to Brock's success. And now Mac Jones is essentially inserted in as the guy to just not fuck it up. And he plays over his head, in fact. And instead of it being a McCaffrey game, which I had predicted, it was a Mac Jones offensive game. It was a Mac Jones offensive game against the Saints. That's why they're 2-0. And you better believe that Brock knows that he just went through all the conversations about whether he should be the guy. And he also knows the guy that is no longer there. 2 of them, really. I mean, he saw it's the Garoppolo and Lance thing. He knows, right. Yeah, they'll move on pretty quick.
I can just see, so as Brock is 100. So Brock is wired the right way. He wanted Mac Jones to play well. He wanted the Niners to be 2-0. He is not losing sleep over losing his job to Mac Jones. I think Brock has that quiet confidence, that self-assurance that you have to survive in this league. But I bet you, as he's laying there in bed at night next to Mrs. Purdy, and they're just sitting there, and she's reading over her bifocals, and he's in his phone looking, and they're not even really thinking about, you got to go to Safeway tomorrow. Do we get a good pound of turkey, pound and a half of turkey? Just the things you talk about at night with your wife. And then I guarantee you at some point he goes, Shanahan asked him to throw it 39 times. 39. Here's the thing. Like, it was going well and it was moving in the right direction, but 39 times, man, that's more throws than he gives me when I'm going well.
It's weird.
My toe, it's sore. But tomorrow, I think I'm going to go out there in shells, and I'm just going to move around. I'm going to make sure it doesn't get too rusty. And I think that's what happened. I think just Brock, as he was sort of doing the math on all of it, was just like, let's make sure that they don't forget about little old me. Guy they just gave $50 million a year to, because everyone moves on from everybody quickly. And Kyle Shanahan is always looking to go home with the next prettier girl at the position of quarterback. So I just think that this is a good thing. This isn't a bad thing. This isn't a threatening thing. This isn't a quarterback controversy. This isn't anything that is negative. I think this is good and positive. I mean, if you want to ask, and you can see in a moment of honesty, Joe Montana will tell you the best thing that ever happened to his career was this guy named Steve Young showing up and threatening the natural order of things. It brought out the best in Joe. And I'm not saying that Mac Jones is Steve Young pushing Brock Purdy.
But you are, wait. Yeah. It's okay. But you are in that the quarterback that can win a game instead of you is apt to be asked to do that job again. Mm-hmm. And that's really all it is, right? Wally Pipp doesn't know that Lou Gehrig's never going to come off the field. For those that don't understand the story, but yes, Lou Gehrig is Cal Ripken before Cal Ripken, and there was a guy who was a pretty good ball player who was there until one day he couldn't play, and Lou, okay, we'll put Lou in today and see what happens. And then he's the Iron Man. Yeah. Okay. So that Every single player lives with that. Tom Brady will tell you that his number one motivation was the idea of being replaced and not being good enough. It seems wild when a guy is that successful, but that's what the NFL does. It. The reason NFL stands for not for long is because inside locker rooms and in between the ears, players are thinking, who is here to take my job?
Hey, I'm not trying to compare what I did to what an athlete did, but one of the reasons why I went to work every day, why there weren't a lot of sick days, why there wasn't a lot of vacation days when I was on the air, I didn't want someone else coming in and doing my show. I didn't want someone else doing my show. Not that I really feared like they're going to be better than me, but they're going to present an option. I want to create a world where you're optionless. It's me or nothing. And then the minute I'm off the air, somebody's going to come in and show you, well, there is something else.
Are you unique? Yeah. Are you a unique commodity? That's what it comes down to. And I'll say this, what Brock has working in his favor is something I want to remind everybody right now. So in essence, we are right now. I mean, if you were putting together a movie about quarterback controversies, you could use the conversation you and I are having right now to say there's a quarterback controversy in San Francisco. You and I are not saying that's what's happening, but our conversation at least leads you to think that the Niners have two options at quarterback, and that's scary to any starting quarterback. So that's fine. I will admit that. But the difference between starters and backups in this league, and again, as an Eagles fan, I can speak to Nick Foles winning a Super Bowl for this franchise, the first and obviously incredibly memorable Philly special, etc. But even Nick Foles was great week 16 through the Super Bowl. And my point is a backup quarterback can be very good. I think the cap on these things is basically 5 games.
Yeah.
A backup quarterback can be excellent, can even convince you better than the starter over the course of 5 games. That's generally the threshold. And what happens is the teams start to scheme and understand and get tape on what you are doing.
Right.
And you are now no longer as special as the starter. The starter is a guy who can change week in and week out.
If you can overcome that, if you can overcome the scheming, if you can overcome the opponent, if you can maintain consistency in a sport where consistency is a hard thing to find, guess what? You're no longer a backup quarterback. You've graduated back into starter. And maybe Mac Jones can do that. There are some guys who are cast as starting quarterbacks. They get demoted. They show through play. They can be promoted to this position once again. Sam Darnold, anybody? I mean, we've just gone through this. It was right in front of our eyes. And this is what Mac Jones is looking for. Now, what has driven me a little nuts is some of the prisoner of the moment reactions that Mac might be the better option, that this is the guy. Slow your roll, everybody. I'm glad that he played well against New Orleans in New Orleans. I really, really am. But do not look this gift horse in the mouth for too long. It's eventually going to run out of good news. So I would love to see Mac Jones come out and play well enough against Arizona to where this team is very comfortable starting him against Jacksonville to buy another week's worth of rest for Brock Purdy's turf toe variant. And you know what, Brock? After they play that Jacksonville game on a Sunday and everybody's tired because we got a quick turnaround to that Thursday nighter, you're going to be fresh as a daisy, Brock. You're going to be the freshest guy on the field. You haven't played in 2.5 weeks. And we will see you for week 5, Thursday night against the Rams. And oh, by the way, that's the real big game coming up on the schedule. Anyways, all due respect to this game coming up this weekend too.
We said it. We said the most important thing a week ago, which was if you're going to take Brock Purdy and frankly George Kittle out of the equation for a game on the schedule, and you asked every single fan which game they would circle, it would have been the at New Orleans game.
I think so.
That would have been the game. That would have been the game to say, first of all, it's early in the season. You got a chance to make up if it goes terribly wrong. And from an opponent standpoint, it looks like the best opponent you've got on your schedule, which is filled with good opponents. But New Orleans looks like the best at that moment in time. So for that, it was great. I also want to say something that we haven't yet. Brock Purdy shouldn't start this week.
No.
Brock Purdy should not start this game.
Correct. Absolutely. He should not start this game. You need to buy him a little time. And Mac did that.
and let Mac do it again, because even getting more out of Mac to prove and build up Mac Jones in a world in which you may need him again, and even if you need him to run on the field and run one play because Brock's shoe comes off, he's a better person for this experience with Shanahan running the offense. Let it happen right now while it's okay. And I understand Arizona, we all get caught on like, oh, Arizona's 2-0 now, and now like this is the game, because this week, yes, Arizona is going to be a viable opponent no matter what. Kyler has torched the Niners over the course of his history. He's got absolutely crunching and crushing games and moments against the 49ers, and it could happen again. But don't fool yourself. What Damon just said is right. Let's judge ourselves against the Rams. Let's understand that we want to be healthy for that game. A game, by the way, that in the first match of last year, you weren't healthy for at all. You had Brock, but he was basically the only guy in offense that you had in that game against the Rams in the first one last year. So set yourself up for that. Don't get caught up in Arizona. It's a 2-0 matchup. This is like the battle of the NFC West right now. Stop it. This is a game again. It's a game. It's a big game. It's a big game. And guess what? It's also a game that Mac Jones could, and I'll say should, win. How about that?
I think so too. All I can tell you is that it's a good situation that the 49ers are in right now, and anyone trying to morph it into a bad situation,
it's good.
I think is trying to sell you something that isn't really there. But for the very first time in 3 years, I think Brock Purdy has felt someone else in the room. He didn't feel Josh Dobbs in the room. I don't think he even felt Sam Darnold in the room. I think he felt this guy in the room. And by the way, speaking of another guy who's going to be back on the field this week, just to let you know how everything can be going really well from you, and then you're out for just a little bit and everything changes. Carson Wentz.
We're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that in just a second. But it really is not for long. NFL, there is some truth to that. No matter who you are, no matter what you're paid, no matter what status you think you enjoy, it can all go away quickly. So I think Brock acknowledged that too. Yes.
And let's remember that the narrative around the most significant game that Brock missed before this New Orleans game, and the game I'm about to mention is more significant than this New Orleans game. When Brock was knocked out of the NFC Championship against the Eagles, the 2022 season, the narrative was we would have won that game had Brock not got knocked out. Debo puffed his chest. The entire team got behind the idea that we would have represented the NFC that year in the Super Bowl had Brock not been injured, which goes to say he certainly didn't feel it, because in that game, what happened immediately, two other quarterbacks. I mean, Christian McCaffrey had to play quarterback at some point in that game. I mean, that game from a backup quarterback standpoint, there was no answer, because behind Brock, it was gone quickly. And that game unraveled.
Johnson didn't answer the bell. Jimmy took the week off, and it was a disaster right away. At least there's this. You haven't heard Hassan Reddick's name in this league since happened in that moment. So at least you got that, 49ers fans. And at least you are here to be with us today. Thank you. And we want to thank our newest sponsor, Sleeper, for joining us. I'll tell you, I've got Mac Jones going on my fantasy team this week. I had to pick him up because my fantasy quarterback was Joe Burrow. No more for right now anyways.
Damon.
Look, you pick
not right now for a while. That's rough.
More or less on your favorite players, more or less on your prop bets. You link them together over at Sleeper, and you could have a winning ticket. I didn't have a winning ticket week 1. I had a winning ticket in week 2. You choose over or under, more or less, or passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and you can get 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, win big, turn your fantasy knowledge into a payday. Check it out. It is America's fastest growing fantasy site, Sleeper, and use promo code Damon when you sign up. You get a $100 deposit match, up to $100 on your first deposit when you use promo code Damon. Use the link at the very top of the description of this video to sign up for Sleeper.
And quickly, before you move on from Sleeper, I want to remind everybody, you need my reminder, Thursday Night Football, that is tonight. And for those that need a reason to watch a game that you think is going to be lopsided between the Bills and the Dolphins, and the Dolphins have looked awful, and obviously the Bills have looked fantastic to this point, and this game's in Buffalo, but you want to give yourself a reason to watch this game, go to Sleeper, and start picking out players and whether we're going to have overs or unders tonight in regards to this game. Tua over some interceptions, maybe. Josh Allen obviously could run all over the Dolphins here. There's a lot with any NFL game, gives you such an opportunity to root for something else, even if you think the outcome is not going to be in question the entire time.
You want options? You got options. There's live in-game betting over at Sleeper. The UI, the user interface, it's really, really good. Check it out. Thank you so very, very much to Sleeper. Thank you so very, very much to this guy right here. My man Ike has got something absolutely delicious waiting for you. And what is waiting for you at Ike's could be, just little old me. Look at that. Did you need onion rings on your steak sandwich? You probably didn't think of it. You need a fat person like me to make fat boy decisions for a person like you.
Great decision.
Onion rings on that steak sandwich. You're going to be happy that you did. Get it, Damon Bruce. Get it, Jamie Sirewich. Try an Adam Richmond. Delicious sandwiches across the board at my man Ike's. And I just want to remind everybody watching, especially those here in San Francisco, the greater Bay Area, Northern California, I hope you can join us at the Dubliner West portal on October 4th, 4:20 p.m. Yours truly will be opening the door at the Dubliner. We're going to have a DJ spinning wax for us. My man Jude's going to come in and spin. I told him, I said, I don't want any unce. I want like laid back shit, like Steely Dan. I want to just have a cool, we're watching little college football, get some pizza, get some Ike's delivered. We're hanging out with friends. Rumor is Sam Betesh may be there.
We're working on that. We are working on that. We are working on that.
We're efforting it. Bring up Allie. Come on up.
Yes.
We'll have a good time. Dubliner West portal, fantastic place to bring your friends, meet friends. And by the way, Muni drops you off and picks you up right out front. So you got nothing to worry about in that regard. So check out Dubliner West portal. Thanks to everyone for being here. Again, thanks to everyone who is in the chat right now. We got 140 people in the room.
Let's go.
In the likes department right now. Oh my God, we're about 100 likes shy.
Let's go. Come on. How easy is this? How easy is this?
Just tap that thumbs up is all we're asking you to do. And as always, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for the supers. And this is from MSQ, who said, first home game with the white throwbacks. Thoughts? I think they're clean as hell. I love the all-white throwbacks when the Niners rock those. But the fact that they have to rock them at home is just another reason why Levi's Stadium is always going to leave a little to be desired in my mind. The Niners are supposed to wear their red home uniforms at home. They're saying they want a cooler environment, which means you didn't build your stadium the right way with the proper amount of shade in Northern California. I mean, we're not in Miami. This isn't one of those like, well, the Dolphins wear white while it's 98 degrees outside. I like the uni. I hate the reason why they have to wear them. So there you go, MSQ. PWS. We're dealing with initials only here.
So I like that. That's a good one.
Thank you very much for slipping $5 in the ganja jar. Steve Young, Mac 10 were first-round picks who eventually became backups in San Francisco to Montana and Purdy, respectively. Could history possibly be repeating it? No. For the sake of fairness to everyone, let's not try to compare Joe Montana to Brock Purdy nor Mac Jones to Steve Young. Let's just calm down. But there's a little something in that relationship. A backup quarterback pushing the established star. Yeah, there is a little something happening right there. And I just think it's a good and healthy thing. So I don't have a problem with it happening at all. Do you want Brock Purdy to play this Sunday? If you got the choice to say, yes, he would push it and risk further injury to this toe, but he would play this Sunday, or just go with Mac. To me, I'm going with Mac 10 out of 10 times, Sam.
There's nothing that happened in the game against the Saints that would tell you that Mac's not fully prepared for what's about to happen here with Arizona. And as I said, that threshold to me is in that 4 or 5 game range. This would be game 2 in a row for Mac. The Cardinals are no better prepared for this based on Mac Jones or Brock Purdy playing in this game. I think Jauan Jennings is probably more like his health is more significant to this game than Brock Purdy's. I hate to say that. It sounds wild, the receiver versus the quarterback. But frankly, what Mac Jones was able to do with Jauan Jennings tells me that that's the connection that really matters. Jauan Jennings being healthy for either Purdy or Mac Jones is more important considering how thin you are at the receiver position and with Kittle out as well. That's what matters. So
Don't you want the 49ers to be able to participate in backup week? It is backup week across the NFL already. Week 3, here we are with backup weeks. As we told you, it's not just Mac going in San Francisco. In Minnesota, they've got Carson Wentz up next for J.J. McCarthy. What do you think Carson Wentz has left for the NFL? You know, we saw him at the end of a Rams season a couple years ago, and he came in and he looked good. And with his legs, he kind of kicked the 49ers' ass in a week that the Niners were sort of taking off.
That was a great game. That was a great come-from-behind win for Carson Wentz, and it was really his last moment. I mean, he slopped up the end of the Chiefs season last year, and it was not good. In a game the Broncos needed to go to the playoffs, so the Broncos smashed the backups for the Chiefs. It wasn't really fair, but in that game, there was a competitive game between the Niners and the Rams. I remember because it reminded me a little bit of when Baker had come in for the Rams when he was in on the short week and then beat the Raiders on that Thursday night football game. And it was just cool to see that Carson had that chance and frankly had what magic those in Philadelphia remember the year that he was an MVP candidate the entire season before getting injured against the Rams. So I saw that. In regards to Wentz, what's fascinating about that is also on the other side, you got no Burrow. So it's a Bengals-Vikings game that felt like it was going to be JJ versus Burrow, and now it's Wentz versus Browning, which is just, that's not what anybody...
By the way, Jake Browning's not bad.
He's been good. And again, he's been good in that 4 to 5 game window that I talk about. I see the Wentz thing, though, as fascinating. See, Carson Wentz, I had said it when he got a chance. There was a moment during last season when Mahomes was legitimately injured during a game, and they flashed to Wentz on the sideline. And I even tweeted it out at the time. Could you imagine if Wentz comes in the middle of a season for the Chiefs and leads them to a Super Bowl victory now as the backup quarterback, considering in his greatest season in this league, he gets a Super Bowl ring for ultimately what Nick Foles finished off against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and it wasn't Wentz. So Wentz getting a chance to come in as a backup, the philosophy, the psychology of what's going on in Wentz's brain, I can only imagine. He has to feel like he fucked up a great thing in Philadelphia. And there are stories about how he truly was the one who fucked it up between him and Peterson, and it fell apart. He has to take these opportunities and say he feels blessed. I think he feels like it was sort of taken out from under him. He was being handed a gold jacket and the keys to that franchise.
Right.
And it was done. I mean, look, after that Super Bowl, he did end up on a team that went to the playoffs the next year, but it was Foles who finished that season. And in the next season,
it was a bad back too, right? Didn't he have
in the end, it was a bad back, but he also got knocked out of the only playoff game that he ever played in for the Eagles. He did lead the Eagles to a playoff season in 2019, but got knocked out against the Seahawks in a game at home that they lost in the wild card round. And that's it. So Wentz, we all love, and the Vikings always get credit for, this is the best roster on both sides of the ball. There's a lot of the Minnesota used to be said about the Niners. Minnesota gets a lot of like they're stacked with talent. So if Minnesota really is that team that they can win with Darnold,
keep ranting. I'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fine. If Minnesota can win with Darnold, if they can win with Case Keenum, if they can win with J.J. McCarthy, then theoretically they can win with Carson Wentz. And this is a great opportunity. And I love the story. And I hope that it's covered, and I'm sure it will be on the broadcast, that Wentz has this fascinating tale as the backup quarterback because of what happened to him as the starter in his best season in this league. His Super Bowl season, he had to watch Nick Foles win that Super Bowl for the Eagles team that he led to the 1 seed. So forever for him, this will be interesting. This is an opportunity for him. I do think there is something left in the tank. And again, back to my theory of 4 to 5 games, Carson Wentz is going to be absolutely that good for the Vikings over the course of 4 to 5 games. I will also say this. I'm not the one who says Minnesota is stacked on both sides of the ball. I no longer think that Minnesota is an elite team. They're not even elite within their own division. There are 2 teams with better rosters on both sides of the ball in the Packers and the Lions in that division. And Monday night, week 1, when I watched the Bears and the Vikings go up against each other, and it was healthy Caleb and healthy J.J. McCarthy, that game was awful until the fourth quarter. I looked at the Bears and Vikings that night, and I said, I need to see these 2 teams never again this season. I don't want to watch the Bears this season, and I don't want to watch the Vikings this season. The Wentz thing makes it interesting. The Vikings and the Bears looked terrible week 1. It was a great finish because of the comeback, but I didn't need it. So if you're asking me, and I think we can rank this, Damon, the backup quarterback rankings I want to do real quick. The ones that are starting, not every quarterback room. I'm talking about the starters for this week. I think it would be fun for us to rank. I think Mac Jones is quickly going to become number 1. I think Wentz is the guy I'm most interested in watching this week. I think Wentz is the most mysterious guy. That's how I see him as a guy who could do more than the starter has to this point and make things interesting.
He's the most established guy who's also got the out of sight, out of mind thing going
yes.
for him. So
it's like, whoa, this guy's back. This guy's still around. He's got a little of that.
You know what? You forget how every bit of like 6'5", 240 he was too. He is freaking huge. He really
the comparison. Remember, the comparison with Wentz was Favre. Wentz was looking like Favre, and the guy that Wentz modeled his game after was Favre, and of course, both from small school, North Dakota State, et cetera. Like there was a lot of similarities there, and gunslinger mentality, throwing himself in, escaping a pocket when you think he's down. He had a lot of that. Been a while since that, and obviously you get your knee torn up, and that's going to change the way you play the game. But Wentz is perhaps the most interesting backup. But let's talk about all of them. Let's line it up. You got the Jets with Tyrod Taylor.
Not
we just said right.
Tyrod Taylor is devoid of interest. He's incapable. The only thing interesting about him is the fact that he let us mispronounce his name for 8 NFL seasons before he bothered correcting anyone. That's
So that's just not right. And in a Jets season when Justin Fields was just getting interested in the Jets, this is a step back. I think Fields again and again is something I'm willing to say, wow, this guy could put up 3 points for the offense or 40, right? I mean, Fields has done that this season. So he's interesting. Tyrod is not as interesting. Then you got Browning in for Cincinnati. Now, talk about a team with really great talent on both sides of the ball and certainly offensively. Browning's
really
now
great talent. Did you see Browning's girlfriend? Did you do that with
me? We haven't done that yet. So please enlighten me and let's get excited about that. I mean, first of all, if you're starting quarterback in the NFL, if you're a backup quarterback in the NFL, yes, I would say that the WAG situation, wives and girlfriends of quarterbacks in the NFL, that's an elite list. That's the list. Your entire life as a quarterback who makes it to this level, your entire life, every girl at school is looking to you as the alpha in every situation. You are the starting quarterback anywhere. That is great. And I expect that. Yeah, this is exactly what I want to see.
Look, this is exactly what she's wearing, the full on like luge outfit, the spandex with the number 6 on it, right? The
onesie.
She's got the Jamiroquai hat on.
There's nothing I don't like about that. There's
strong to very strong.
Strong to very strong. And again, backup or not, if you're a quarterback in this league, your entire life, you have basically been, the claw and those machines and the toy, like every girl at every school has been essentially the little, right. Chick. There's just like the claw just comes in and it's every girl wants to be there. And that's it. So good for Jake Browning. So again, Browning, there you go. You found something interesting about Browning. Probably more interesting than, again, he threw, I don't even know how they beat the Jaguars. He threw 3 interceptions in that game and led a game-winning drive.
Offense in the second half or whatever it was awful.
Awful.
But Browning's actually better than that. So Browning's interesting. I think the fact that they got both Winston Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart in New York.
That's great. I mean, that's going to be exciting.
But a little interesting.
It's great. Russell Wilson's still starting. And again, I would say if we brought Daniel Jones in, if we said Daniel Jones is the backup quarterback, he's the best backup quarterback going right now. He won the starting job week 1. Yeah. Right. So that's it. So it's really a Mac Jones, Carson Wentz, Browning, Tyrod Taylor, and I think I'm missing one other. Oh, we don't know Washington, Jaden Daniels. Mariota may start for Jaden Daniels. So we've got that as well. So
Marcus Mariota also definitively checks the box of Jauan.
And compare him to the starter also. So the thing about Wentz is like compare him to what we see of JJ. Yet we don't know enough about JJ. Wentz can be as or more interesting. Browning has to be more interesting than Burrow. That's a tough assignment. Mariota has to be more interesting than Jaden Daniels. Tough assignment. Again, Mac Jones and Purdy, in most people's mind, Purdy's not like Lamar Jackson running around, right? Like maybe Mac Jones can be as exciting and good as Brock. I think the best guy, the most confident backup quarterback going this week, please in the comments tell me I'm wrong. The most confident, if your backup quarterback meter for who's actually going to be on the field this Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever, is definitively in a runaway Mac Jones.
I think so too. And by the way, we got PWS coming back in saying, how does our O-line rank in the NFL with Colby? Well, all I can tell you is that the 49ers offensive line, this is one of those, your own eyes are maybe lying a little bit to you, because I'm seeing an offensive line that certainly from a run blocking standpoint has an awful lot to improve upon. But the 49ers offensive line from a passing protection standpoint has been highly graded so far. That includes Jake Brendel, who to me is always leaving something to be desired in the middle. He's got good Pro Football Focus scores, so maybe that says something more about their validity than it does Brendel. But Connor Colby, I think, makes the 49ers offensive line a little bit better than Ben Bartch. This is a young man who, once he got his arms around a starting job at Iowa, he never let it go. We'll see what happens here. He was very good last week. Very good. So hopefully it helps this offensive line improve. Mr. Positivity at all times, Joseph Ernberg coming in. He's saying, this just goes to show you Brock isn't important. No, I think there could be no greater misunderstanding of the situation than that. Why does an accolade attached to Mac Jones have to be a demerit for Brock Purdy? Why it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like for every compliment you give to Mac, that's one fewer compliments you're allowed to give to Brock. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all.
And I mean, Brian Robinson is a fantastic, he's the best backup running back in the league.
Not right now, he ain't.
No. Well, again, on paper, Brian Robinson is a starter from a team that's in the NFC Championship game months ago, and now is the backup to McCaffrey in San Francisco. Like that, I mean, that is setting your team up as well as the Lions have with Gibbs and Montgomery. That is setting yourself up for that scenario where you can lose David Montgomery and still capture the 1 seed. I mean, that's putting yourself in prime position, but it doesn't mean McCaffrey's not amazing. And it doesn't mean you don't want McCaffrey on the field for every snap. You want McCaffrey running the ball every time in comparison to Robinson. You want, when healthy, Purdy taking the ball instead of Mac Jones.
I just don't understand how a good game out of Mac Jones equals that's bad for Brock Purdy, or we shouldn't have with Brock. That's to me, it's just that's just the dumbest way to think about sports. Sorry,
and through the entirety of this season, and we will be here. Let us know and point to a game where Brock Purdy isn't the reason that game was won by the Niners. Do yourself a favor and go through the games as we stack them up moving forward, and ask yourself if the team was in position to win because of something Brock Purdy did or not. And in most cases, you're going to say Brock Purdy put your team in position to win that game. Brock Purdy is making plays with his arm and his feet. Again, Brock Purdy is not out rushing other quarterbacks in this league, but his escapability is elite. Brock Purdy is tough to get down. He identifies when he's in trouble and he makes smart plays with the ball. And that is crucial in this league.
One more super from PWS. He says, is Joe Burrow's career comparable to Matthew Stafford's?
Well, no, not right now.
No. Well, okay. So first of all, Stafford has been in the NFL for what we're talking. We're into
2 decades. We're into 2 decades.
7, 8, 9. We're 17 seasons.
Yeah, well into 2 decades.
Career. We're talking about someone who's won a Super Bowl and has a Hall of Fame track. Joe Burrow, as exciting and as gifted and as good as he is, he's not even qualifying for the Frosted Tips Hall of Fame, much less the Football Hall of Fame. So,
and the other problem is, and again, even if the resumes were the only part we had to go on, the other part that's going to be impossible to overlook for anyone that would be forced to vote on what was just put up on the screen, Stafford beat Burrow in a Super Bowl. Head-to-head in a Super Bowl, Stafford's championship is through Burrow. So that's tough, right? I mean, that's just going to be impossible to overlook.
Yeah, and I just, again, we're you're asking to judge a football adult against a football child. And that's what really, I don't mean that he's a child or immature or anything, but there's an infancy of a career versus a guy whose career is in the old man home already. So
I'll also flip it on its head. Burrow's trajectory is so much better than Stafford's. Stafford didn't win one playoff game in Detroit. Not one. Again, Jared Goff has done something Stafford hasn't done. You may say that Stafford has done something that Goff didn't do in LA and winning a Super Bowl, but again, Goff has won playoff games for this Detroit franchise, with Stafford never did early in his career and even late in his career in Detroit. And Burrow has already stacked up impressive playoff wins against Mahomes and Josh Allen. I mean, so and had himself in position in that Super Bowl. It was a pretty bad call against the Bengals in that. And of course, he was sacked numerous times. That's why he's in trouble again and injured again, because how are we not protecting Joe Burrow? That's another, I'm so upset about that.
Might want to do that at some point. I'm not saying every single one of your offensive linemen needs to be Anthony Munoz again, but get somebody in here. By the way, Irwin saying Browning's girlfriend alone.
Yes.
Deserves a like and subscribe. Well, to that, we have this button right here.
Pound it, pound it, pound it, pound it.
Yes.
I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today.
Absolutely.
That's
Thank
great.
you so much to her for joining us. Thank you to you for joining us. Thank you to Irwin for joining us. Hopefully he is going to be at Plus Mania. What are we at now?
Yes.
Plus Mania 7 coming up on.
It's pretty awesome, Damon. Congratulations to you. That's fantastic. I got to tell you, in a world in which we don't want to go to the grocery store and frankly don't have to anymore, you can get toilet paper. I mean, this is how lazy we are, right? Toilet paper is delivered to the house. That's it. I mean, that's where we are in the world. So to get people to show up and see you in person in a world where, by the way, they can see you on YouTube, but seeing you in person and people are going there to be with you and celebrate what we do, that is what is so special about what we do here. It is that connection with people.
Experience, the texture, the taste, the smell. Oh, good. No, really, it's great. It's great that we can get anybody out. It is kind of amazing. I've always said sports talk radio hosts in Columbus, Ohio could show up to give away dirty Buckeye socks and 5,000 people would show up looking for their dirty Buckeye socks. It doesn't work like that in the Bay Area.
Nope. It's different world
to do. And so whenever anyone shows up, it's deeply gratifying and humbling. And we hope you all plan on coming out, because we're going to have a really good time October 4th, starting at 4:20 at the Dubliner West Portal. See you there. By the way, and this is PW, I said, I meant Joe Burrow's trajectory. Yeah, look, I mean,
it's better than Stafford. The trajectory is better.
They're both really talented guys on historically really inept franchises. They've done all they've come to overcome, the ineptitude of their franchise. It didn't work out. I mean, that's the thing. The Lions' history outweighed Stafford's talent. I think that Bengals' history is exactly strong enough to outweigh Joe Burrow's and
he's turned it around. And by the way, he's turned it around. When we talk about teams in the AFC, we start with Kansas City and then we quickly get to Cincinnati, no matter what. It is Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and the Chiefs that we still tell ourselves are what matter when it comes to representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. And that says so much about Joe Burrow, because Cincinnati has to get out of their own way for that to happen, and Detroit couldn't do it. The other thing is, Stafford was healthier. Burrow, at this point, I'm sorry, we have to say it. And Burrow said it himself at the NFL Honors. Thank you for giving me this award, Comeback Player of the Year. The fact that I've been a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year already twice in my career, not a great thing.
Yeah, not great. Not great. By the way, a super sticker from Nathan Hyatt. I don't even know what that sticker consists of, but
let's go.
Oh, it's like a big fat looking bird giving us a little kiss.
I love that.
Nathan, thank you very much for the for the super. Thank you for supporting the show. It really means an awful lot. Hit like and subscribe if you would, please. So we have not, seen a lot of football here. We're only 2 weeks in. We're only 8 quarters and change. Maybe your team has gone to overtime, but we're 8 quarters into a season that is still using the month of September to get its own sea legs underneath it, because the preseason's a little harder to decipher these days than ever before. So here we are. We're through 2 weeks of football, but we do have the question, and we want to ask you in the chat, what is the biggest surprise in the NFL through 2 weeks? This is something that Sammy and I were tossing about, and I've got an idea or two, and I know Sammy does as well. Let's see. Oh, one more super here from PWS says Burrow was drafted number 1 overall like Stafford to teams in bad situations were paired with elite wide receivers. If Burrow gets traded like Stafford, yeah, that'll absolutely add some similarity to their career arc. Let's see if Burrow can stay healthy enough to reach that moment in his career. I think that's, very much up to debate. Anyway, biggest surprise in football, and I think there are a couple different ways to walk around this car. Okay, you can talk about the biggest actual what we're seeing returned on the field to us data points surprises, and then you could look at this from a what you were told to expect and what you're actually getting level surprise. So to me, based on football life cycle, the biggest surprise to me is how absolutely stuck in the mud the Kansas City Chiefs really do look.
I'm so glad that as a collective, this show has represented that as well, because it is a must conversation at this point.
Look, I don't think there's any reason to declare Kansas City over with or done with, or Super Bowl window has closed through 2 weeks. But I'm going to tell you, they've got about until week 6 here to start righting the ship. I was looking at their schedule a little bit. So Kansas City is 0-2 with very little appeal to their 0-2 so far. They have not looked good. They have not looked electric. They've not looked inspired. And outside of Patrick Mahomes using his legs to generate offense, there's not a lot going for Kansas City right now. They're 0-2. They're at the New York Giants this weekend. Feels like a win, but the New York Giants, I think, are wearing the hardest to, I don't know what I'm getting at.
We have no idea. We have no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea. Then they're hosting Baltimore. That could be a loss at home.
You've got the schedule right there, Damon. If you want to put it up, you can put their schedule up right now and just take a look.
Too far here, but I just wanted to look over the next handful of games.
There it is, yeah.
Because they're at the New York Giants, Baltimore, at Jacksonville, Detroit. They're 0-2 already. I'm going to give them wins over Jacksonville and New York sight unseen.
Sure, yeah, of course.
But 2-4 is out there. 2-4 is absolutely out there for the Kansas City Chiefs. I could see them losing at home to Baltimore. I could see them losing at home to Detroit. So 2-4 is out there. If Kansas City is going to turn this around, they better get on the good foot right now and start working that, because look what comes afterwards. You can say the Raiders are a punching bag still, so that's not a jeopardy, though. But then Commanders, NFC title game last year. Bills, legit. Bye week. At Broncos, legit. Colts in week 12. Who knows what you got by then?
Oh, my
Cowboys
God.
on Thanksgiving. Not an easy situation. I don't care what the Cowboys are doing. Texans, bad start. Who knows what they'll be in week 14? Chargers might be the best team in football. Catch your breath against the Titans. Then it's the Broncos on Christmas. I see a 7-win season on that schedule for Kansas City. I also see them making the playoffs because they're Kansas City. And until they're dead, they're still living. But, biggest surprise through week 2, the lack of viability of the Kansas City Chiefs is what I've got in terms of on-field football life cycle surprises. What is your surprise?
Well, I want to make one comment about the Chiefs. So you can talk yourself into the idea that the Chiefs lost to 2 of the best teams through 2 weeks so far, in the Chargers and the Eagles. No one's going to say the Super Bowl champs losing to them in a game in which you got smashed and frankly looked better than you did in the Super Bowl against them. And the Chargers, you had a chance at the end of the game to bring yourself back in that game, right? So you could say they lost 2 close games to 2 quality opponents. You could say that. But I want to make this point. The Chiefs made a living winning those games. Those games, in those scenarios, in those situations, in close games that you thought the other team was going to win. Ask the Chargers of the last 5 seasons how many times they were in a game that they thought they had Mahomes beat and it didn't happen.
Right.
How many times has Herbert had to hear? In fact, the stat, I wish I could find it right now. You know that Herbert before that game had beaten Mahomes, I believe, once head-to-head? Once? Think about that. Herbert, who we all think, and of course now it's like, oh, maybe he's the MVP, whatever. Herbert's a great quarterback. We know that. He cannot beat Mahomes. That was the story. And all of a sudden they're in Brazil and it's just like, oh, Herbert beat Mahomes. No. Let's get it straight. In a game like that, up 10 points, who gives a shit? Ask the Niners what it's like to be up 10 against the 49 against the Chiefs in an important game. All right.
I'd rather not talk about it.
The Chiefs win those games. The Chiefs in a game where they're down 3 and then down even 10 to the Eagles in a game where they have a chance at home to prove that what happened in the Super Bowl wasn't the case, with Kelsey walking into the end zone with a ball delivered to Mahomes and he throws it up to Makuba.
Look, all I'm going to tell you is, in the parlance of our times, I don't know if the Chiefs got the Riz anymore, man. I just don't think they got it.
That's what it is. And so my point is, it's not just, they're close. Like, it's worth dissecting. Those margins are that thin in this league. So I just want to thank us both for not looking past the obvious here. The most surprising thing, I'm not going to beat you right now with what I say. The most stunning thing in this league right now is the Chiefs are 0-2, period, full stop, end of conversation. Something that is also fascinating to me, and I'm enjoying, because of how much I couldn't stand that the guy that had this position before couldn't fucking get it right. The Daniel Jones thing is so incredible for 2 reasons. Number one, Anthony Richardson's supposed to be Lamar Jackson. Like, that just, I'm sorry, if you would just watch these 2 guys get dressed in the morning and step on a football field, you'd think they both are capable of doing the exact same thing. And Anthony Richardson cannot even sniff or talk about Lamar Jackson in the same sentence. No. Anthony Richardson is incapable of being Lamar Jackson until he proves us.
He can't string 5 running plays together without needing someone to come in and play for him. Yeah,
what he's put on tape is really reprehensible in many ways. What he has done to Steichen and that staff in Indianapolis is really just disgusting.
Right. I mean, so for those of you who think Sammy might be over exaggerating, he is not right there. There is literally like a table that I saw where like a table of contents saying that, of 123 quarterbacks to have done this over this period of time, Anthony Richardson is 124th of 123.
We're talking about a list that includes, that list includes Jamarcus Russell.
Right.
Just we're comparing Anthony Richardson to Jamarcus Russell instead of Lamar Jackson. That's how bad it's become. Right. And then he couldn't beat out the guy that we all thought was trash, the Giants. The Giants had to say goodbye to Daniel Jones. Why? Because they were not getting over the hump of the Super Bowl? No. They're a terrible franchise at the moment, and they thought Daniel Jones wasn't good enough to even make them respectable. Okay.
Well, they were the team that wasn't going to give him that $50 million.
Right.
Here's the thing. They did, though. They flirted with that, right?
Yes. And they gave him a lot.
They moved him up. And then they
gave him a lot.
We got to
No, it was a big contract. And so what's interesting is for 2 reasons. Number one, the Giants had to spend last season watching Saquon Barkley win Offensive Player of the Year and the Super Bowl for their rival. And now they're watching
Daniel Jones.
And Daniel Jones right now, let's just say this out loud. In the history of this league, think of the quarterbacks right now. Whoever in your mind is your favorite quarterback, give me his best season right now. Do you know that Daniel Jones is leading an offense that before this season never happened before? There's not an offense in this league, 1999 Rams, that has done what Daniel Jones's offense has done.
I mean, small sample size.
The punter hasn't seen the fucking field once in 2 weeks. It's the only team in the history of the game to ever do that through the first 2 weeks.
Team since the history of modern football, as we know it, the Super Bowl era, there's only one team that hasn't punted through 8 quarters to start a year, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. I did have Kansas City's football life cycle 0-2 is the biggest surprise. My biggest surprise based on media projection is Daniel Jones and the Colts. How could it not be? And since you wanted to talk about this, let me show you this, Sammy. I know you like a good graphic.
Oh, I love it.
I thought of this.
There we go. Yes.
Let's talk about Josh Allen and Daniel Jones.
This is so good.
This is the 2 of them through 2 weeks of play.
That's awesome.
Daniel Jones has been better than Josh Allen through 2 weeks of play. He's been better completion percentage, more touchdowns, better passer rating, only 15 or so more yards, 16 more yards Josh Allen has over Daniel Jones right now. Otherwise, Daniel Jones has looked like Superman so far in this league this year. And anyone who tells you they had that on their bingo card is lying. They don't have a bingo card. They don't even play bingo.
By the way, the Vegas odds for who was going to be the week 1 starter was still Anthony Richardson. It wasn't even really that close. It was plus money on Daniel Jones getting the week 1 start to begin with. What is happening here is not to be believed. And this isn't He's not inserted to the cheat. The Colts have been underwhelming, largely because of their quarterback. But overall, even Jonathan Taylor made boneheaded mistakes last season. This team is not slotted to win that division. And right now, they are. I'm losing my voice. I'm losing my voice for how excited I am about this. It's unbelievable.
Out of you right now. Just one. There we go. There we go.
So now we're good. So now we're better. But Daniel Jones, that's the answer for me because I just am so blown away at what I'm seeing. And again, it was so definitive against the Dolphins in that week 1 game. I mean, the Dolphins now we say are bad, but part of us thinking the Dolphins are that bad is because of what Daniel Jones did to them.
Don't jump to conclusions based on how positive everyone's playing, and don't jump to any conclusions based on negative performance. We're still very early on in the season. And that brings us to a team that we've sort of adopted in terms of curiosity. Maybe we did it for our friend JT the Brick, but I know that both of us are kind of interested in the Raiders this year. Ashton Gianti is a player that you are very, very excited about.
So excited.
Not so much. He has not exactly popped through 2 weeks.
No.
And, there's a lot of people who want to just cool down on him, cool down on the Raiders, cool down on the fact that Chip Kelly has 0 going for this offense right now. I'll tell you this, anyone who's upset about Tom Brady being in meetings and in the Raiders coaching box, I understand theoretically what you're upset at, but realistically, let me tell you, there's no meeting that Tom Brady has sat in that is going to clearly help the Raiders in one way or the other. He ain't bringing anything back that's helping them at all.
Nope.
But people who want to declare Ashton Gianti already like a little bit of a failure, like, wait a minute. Number one, his production is not based on him. It's based on that offensive line in front of him. They're not getting the job done. Number two, it's been 8 quarters. I will say this, though. Who's your favorite player from an NFL standpoint in the history of Boise State football? There's a reason why there's not a lot of Boise State Broncos bopping around this league, enjoying everything that comes with NFL success, because there's a lot of guys who realize, as good as I was at that level, we ain't out there playing against SEC competition. So me looking really good for Boise State means squadoosh once you get into NFL regular season. So
it's nothing.
I don't know what Ashton Gianti is going to be. I know there's no reason to be giving up on him right now. I also know that there's no reason to pretend that he's about to redefine what a running back in this league is, because he has been a yawn through 2 weeks.
But I want to give this to everybody. Now, you're not breaking down tape. You're not looking at every single play of a Raiders game, and certainly preseason, which I'm about to take you to. But there are 2 plays right now that I do want to talk about. Against the 49ers.
Don't talk to me about preseason football. Don't talk to me about preseason football. We are in the regular season. Nothing that happened in the preseason matters at all, period. Don't even bother.
So how about if I do this? How about if I start the regular season and go back? All right, then I'm going to do this to make it just a little. That's what you do when someone's really you try to give somebody a compliment first, and then you give the backhanded piece of criticism.
Go ahead.
Monday night, first running play for the Raiders. Ashton Gianti exploded through the offensive line, destroyed. Everyone loves the Chargers defense right now. I actually don't know the name, and he's so glad I don't have it at the tip of my tongue right now. But whoever he saw in that hole immediately, he eliminated that person, running right through them. Ashton Gianti does have a shot out of a cannon style of play that is going to be absolutely worth watching for the next 5 seasons. I don't know that I'm more confident about a statement I'm making in this league than that. Ashton Gianti will have plays that you are watching from a top 10 standpoint, angry runs by Kyle Brandt, etc. Ashton Gianti is going to wreck people in this league. Derrick Henry throwing Josh Norman out of the way. We are going to have plays like that from Ashton Gianti where he is destroying people. He did it Monday night against the Chargers, and I'll only sprinkle it in here. He did it against the Niners in the preseason against a very real starting player in this league. I believe it was Lenore who he did run over Damon
Lenore, but it was in the preseason. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, fine. And that's fine. But he has that word because so many running backs you see, there's the shiftiness, right? There's a guy who sees that something's not happening in the hole and then shifts to the side. And that's impressive. It's Saquon's got a lot of that. But what Gianti has in regards to, if you give him that little space where now it's second level, he's meeting that next defender. I've seen it now twice with my own eyes. He can turn 3 yards into 8. And that is such a massive difference in this league. And he is going to do that for 5 seasons.
The minute he's off the Raiders, he might be a good NFL player. I'm sorry, the Raiders still live in that world until they don't.
Yeah, Monday night. Look, Monday night was a separator. I always say this. I say week 3 is the big separator because you got a lot of 2-0s that become 2-1, and then we never talk about them again, and it evaporates quickly. Like the perfect season ends quickly. For the Raiders, it ended at 1-0. It's a big if, and you can't say that. They didn't come close to beating the Chargers. That was a separator game right there.
By the way,
it was like the big boys, and it ended quickly for the Raiders.
That is the world in which I believe the Indianapolis Colts exist right now. I don't think that Daniel Jones is going to be in the is he just like Josh Allen conversation much longer.
Nope.
But in the meantime, you can only play what's in front of you on your schedule, and you can't do better than 2-0 through 2 weeks. Here we are now in week 3, Sammy. When it comes to the game of the week, it might have been pushed all the way back to Monday Night Football. We have a good one. We have our very, very good friend.
Doesn't matter if you have 1 ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
We got Dan Campbell, who, by the way, is doing everything he can to let the whole world know. Fuck Ben Johnson.
Don't give a shit.
That guy at all. Like he is. I'm very impressed with what the Lions have looked like so far. He thoroughly embarrassed the Chicago Bears this past week. You know that he wanted to do that. Lions Ravens feels big coming up on Monday Night Football. There's a couple of other games though that I think are huge this week. When you take a look at the schedule, where do your eyes go first, Sam?
So I want to give credit to something, and we have the schedule. We'll put it up after I say this first thing about Lions Ravens, and then we can look at the rest of the schedule and see, because there are interesting games. But quickly, I go through each week and just I'm thinking okay, what's going to matter? Like what time window does it matter? And of course, Monday night, we're watching it no matter what it is. I'll argue that week 1, I never need to see the Vikings or Bears again this season. I just said Wentz is interesting, but Vikings and Bears looked, I just thought through 3.5 quarters, those were 2 teams I just didn't need to see again.
Can we flex them out of all national windows immediately?
Exactly. Just see you later. Don't need you. That division is better with the teams above you, and that's it. So saying that, Monday Night Football, I still sit through and watch. We watch it no matter what. It's delivered to us and we take it. But for so long, because of what Sunday Night Football did, Sunday night had the best game that Fox or CBS didn't hold on to tight. And so Sunday night was clearly great. And then Fox or CBS wasn't going to let go of a Bills Chiefs, wasn't going to let go of when Dak and Jalen were playing each other, Eagles, Cowboys. Like they were holding on to those games. And so you always had those great games. And then Monday was just like, okay, sure. I'll watch Bears Vikings. It's there. I mean, I'm going to watch it. It's the only game. Maybe Peyton and Eli have something to say. When I look this week and I'm scanning, I never expect that by the time I get through Sunday Night Football, that the best game on the docket on paper is Monday. And I would argue, Damon, I want the chat to tell me if I'm wrong. Have we had a Monday Night Football game in the last, I'll say 3 seasons that was definitively the best game on the schedule heading into that week? I really can't remember it that I would say. I don't think I'm taking enough inventory of which is the best game to really be able to answer that question, honestly. And I'll tell you this, it is a sexy Monday nighter, but there are 2 games on Sunday afternoon that I think. Let's take a look now. Let's take a look. So the schedule's right there if you want to put it up. We can look at all the games now.
Well, hold on. We're about to click on it. Let me just say, Cardinals and 49ers is absolutely no slouch of a game at all. Cardinals,
great game. It's a great game.
Both 2-0, both division rivals. Gannon versus Shanahan could be on its way to being the coaching matchup that is even more interesting than Shanahan versus McVay for the future of the NFC West. So we will see what this game looks like. And I'm also going to tell you, Sammy, Rams and Eagles.
It's a good one.
Rams and Eagles is a huge game in terms of NFC superiority and supremacy. This is our week 3 slate. Again, it kicks off tonight. The Miami Dolphins. How much of a national punching bag are they going
Dolphins.
to? So Mike McDaniel.
This is like a fire your coach short week or long week situation.
Here's the thing. If the Dolphins do get clobbered, McDaniel could be gone this weekend.
It is so true. This is like the trip overseas that doesn't end well. This is Lane Kiffin not coming back on the plane.
This is a tarmac termination. We could be getting that. Are you not sending the plane for Mike McDaniel? If you're the 49ers, by the way, if he really were to be, why not bring him back? Why not Robert Saleh 2.0, baby?
He'll have a job in a heartbeat. Have you been disappointed by your experience being an
head coach of an AFC East team? Well, come on back to the San Francisco 49ers, where we can show you what competent franchises look like and are all about after all. Thank you very much, Miami Dolphins. Thank you very much, New York Jets. You're a lot of things. Competent isn't one of them. So
you have not proven that. And speaking of that, by the way, competency in teams, I also want to say that a game that isn't, necessarily, and we just said Tyrod Taylor is not interesting. I always love when Todd Bowles faces the Jets, though. It's sort of like the Todd Bowles Bowl. That's like the revenge game, right? The Todd Bowles Bowl, the revenge game for Todd Bowles, right? Spit out in New York. And again, it wasn't very pretty. It's not like he had so much success there that we can't believe he wasn't the head coach of the Jets anymore. But I want to remind everyone what's happening in Tampa. There is one team in the NFC that for the last 5 seasons has made the playoffs every single season. And it's not the Eagles, and it's not the Niners, and it's not the Lions, and it's not the Packers. The Bucs have been in the playoffs every season with Todd Bowles there. It's impressive. Well, it's impressive. And that'll be a nice opportunity for him, likely to smash Tyrod Taylor.
I think we're going to talk about them again in just a situation.
Yeah, we are. But these are great games. The Eagles, by the way, that matchup, the divisional matchup, you said it, the Eagles-Rams thing is fascinating. I don't expect Saquon to rush for 2 60-yard touchdowns in a third straight game against the Rams. But if he does, can I just say that if Saquon rushes, even for 1 60-yard touchdown against the Rams, I don't even know what Sean McVay can tell his team afterwards if that happens again.
Yeah, that'll be about it, everyone. We should call Aaron Donald, see if he wants to come back for one. How about 2 games a year? Just one game a year? Let me just say, too, Broncos, Chargers.
Love
in that 405 window, and that could be a game of real consequence. By the way, MSQ is saying, Giants, Dodgers this week in LA, 4 games. Any thoughts? Yeah, the Giants are going to drop 3 of 4 games to LA this weekend. That's what I think.
And the Dodgers are licking wounds. Remember, I will say this about the Dodgers, Damon. Finish your thought about the Giants, and then I have one thing to say about the Dodgers.
Whenever the Giants are sitting on top of a moment that matters, no matter what progress they've been making to get to that moment, they then spit the bit and blow the moment. Every single time, all year long. Hey, they're finally back at 500. Here's a big series. Wah, wah. Every time this team has in a season made of disposable baseball games, tonight means twice the normal amount of a normal baseball game. That's when the Giants revert back to their 2 hits, 1 run, 3 errors, worst versions of themselves. I expect the Giants playoffs and all the promise of maybe making it in to evaporate this weekend in Los Angeles. Watch them dump 3 of 4 to the Dodgers.
The night before they traded for Devers, they were in Dodger Stadium and losing 10-0 before Kike Hernandez came in to allow 4 runs in the 9th inning. I believe that game ended 10-4, I believe. That was the game where I looked at the Giants lineup and I texted you, Damon, I don't even understand what this team thought heading into the season. And then the Devers thing looked like it was going to be this massive wave of change. The worst news for the Giants this weekend is that the Dodgers just dropped 2 of 3 to the Phillies, and the Dodgers are still trying to clinch, get in, and figure out if there's a home field advantage situation with the Brewers, and the Phillies look like they have locked up right now. And I want to remind everyone this. The Dodgers are 1-11 against the Brewers and the Phillies this season.
Isn't that something else?
That's a wild statistic. And their one win was, again, last night. They got the last one against the Phillies, but they were 0 before last night against the Brewers and the Phillies this season. Those are 2 teams they're going to see. That's an interesting storyline. I'll just say that for those that are just chalking it up for the Dodgers, there's going to be something said there, and Milwaukee or Philly could make that happen. So that's enough baseball for us, but it's pretty interesting.
By the way, a couple of more supers come in saying, imagine paying 2 years, $30 million for a swing tackle.
Oh.
Hey, PWS, that's the price of business.
Yep.
A starting tackle makes $20 million. A guy that you have a lot of confidence is your swing tackle. That guy's going to make $15 to $12 million now in this league. That's the way it goes. MSQ says that Giants defensive line, absolutely insane. Look, if they're going to get to Kansas City, that's going to be the way that they start. MSQ again. Pearsall and Robinson, the Bullet Bros. All I can tell you is, there is a little lead in both of their pencils for sure. And hopefully DeMarcus Robinson is going to come on back and help Ricky Pearsall appear even more wide open. Again, MSQ getting generous with the Super today.
Love that.
And there he goes again. It was the Giants and Dodgers this weekend. Good luck to all involved. Finally, Sam, before we get to our last couple of topics, it is probably a thought exercise that you can't attach a lot of value to it, but why would that stop us? Through 2 weeks, are you ready to declare a 2-week wide MVP in the NFL? Do you have this person identified? Who is your 2 weeks in MVP in this league?
Okay, so we spoke a lot about Daniel Jones. If we were having our award ceremony, he'd be invited. Daniel Jones would be on the red carpet answering questions. He'd be a finalist for this award, but he wouldn't win it. Wouldn't win it.
Mayfield? Is this going to be Baker Mayfield? We're the Baker Mayfield fans there are, dude.
I said it to somebody, you know what? Our buddy Aaron Larsoul, who's a huge Niners fan, was here at the house today before we got going, and I'm giving him some of what we're going to talk about. And he, by the way, he hates Brock, by the way. So that's like he was down the road of Mac Jones is going to lead this team. And that, so he's big on that. But one thing we could have
planted the Sooner flag center field.
Yes.
Stadium. Did Larsoul go to freaking Ohio State?
So here's what's funny. So what I told him was, I said, here's something we're going to agree on right now. Baker Mayfield, I'm not going to say he's elite. I don't need to, but is there a quarterback I enjoy watching more that has nothing to do with a team I rooted for my whole life than Baker Mayfield? Why do I just love, Baker Mayfield's destroyed the Eagles the last 2 times he played, and yet I kind of enjoyed even watching that. He was that good, that impressive, and like that over his skis for what expectations were. And again, I told you my second favorite play of last season was Nick Bosa all over Baker, and Baker is just telling him like, hold on. So he's to Bosa as he completes a 4th down play to extend the game that Jake Moody tried his hardest to give to the Buccaneers, and yet it gets. By the way, that was the game where Moody had his worst game ever, and he's carried off as the hero. That was hilarious to me. But Baker Mayfield, all that. Baker Mayfield's also on the red carpet, but not winning this award. Here's the guy winning this award. Justin Herbert is the MVP of this league so far. And here's why. You said earlier, what's the most surprising thing? And it's based on what we thought coming into the season. The Chargers are not running the ball the way we thought they would. Again, everyone was excited about Omarion Hampton and even Najee Harris, 1 eye or 2 eyes, whatever he's got. Justin Herbert is putting this team on his back. Harbaugh has decided this team is throwing the ball at least through 2 weeks. And Justin Herbert is making teams pay. And then even with his feet, he's the one that closes out. He doesn't want to see Mahomes with the ball again, so he closes out that game in Brazil as his feet on the biggest play of the game offensively for the Chargers. Justin Herbert is pissed about what happened in Houston in the playoffs, 4 interceptions. That was on him. Nobody wears that loss. Nobody spoke about Harbaugh or anybody else in that game. Nobody even spoke about the Texans for that game.
He threw more picks in a game than he did in the season that preceded the game.
That's you know how that is impossible to do. That's a lottery ticket type. If you had the over 3.5 interceptions for Herbert in that game, please tell us in the chat that wasn't going to happen that day.
Right. Yeah. All right. Did you buy your summer home in Malibu yet?
Yeah, exactly. So good for you. But Herbert is here this season to say, not again. Not again, Chiefs. Not again, we're the almost Chargers. So far through 2 games, they have taken 2 games where that game against the Raiders could have been, they played back and forth with the Raiders many times over the last 5 years. The game wasn't close. Score-wise, anything else, it wasn't close, and Herbert was special. He's turning Quentin Johnston into a real player at the moment, and nobody thinks Quentin Johnston's got his head screwed on straight.
Anybody notice that Keenan Allen keeps on scoring touchdowns?
You are so. By the way, now I don't know if it's just like somehow the water tastes better in Los Angeles or in a blue uniform for him. I don't know in the powder blue, but he is every bit of the guy you wanted the Niners to have.
Come on. Okay, so
that's it. I'll go Herbert. Tell me where you.
My MVP through 2 weeks. Again, I think we both have to admit, even though we are card-carrying members of the Baker Mayfield Club, he is always going to live in the world of underappreciated. So
yes.
He's never going to win an MVP. The Buccaneers would have to go 18-0 for him to win an MVP, right?
Yeah.
The numbers right now, since basically the MVP is a quarterback's only award, I'll tell you, you are right. Herbert is in this conversation, but technically right now, both Jared Goff and Lamar are having a better start to their years than even Herbert is having, but that's not what I got.
Ooh.
To me, the MVP of the NFL through 2 weeks is the single most unstoppable entity in the NFL through 2 weeks. The MVP is the tush push.
Wow, I love it.
The Eagles have run more brotherly shoves through 2 weeks than Justin Herbert has completed 10-yard passes downfield. I'm going to say that one more time.
Wow. Wow. Say that again, please.
More brotherly shoves run by the Eagles than Justin Herbert has completed passes of 10 yards or more in a football game. This, and you can say the Eagles are cheating. You can say that their guards are leaving early. You can say that they're jumping their own guns, and you might be right about all of that. They tried to kill this over the weekend. They tried to kill this over the offseason by voting against it. That couldn't even stop the tush push. The tush push is unbeatable. It's unbeatable on a football field. It's unbeatable in terms of your mind never stops thinking of it. It lives rent-free in most people's heads. It is unbeatable in terms of the rules committee being able to vote against it. The tush push is the single biggest factor and force in football, and only one team can run it, and it's everyone else's fault. They're not good at the Eagles at it as the Eagles are. I got no sympathy for any of you. Zero. None. There you go.
I love.
Push is this league's MVP right now. It is the most unstoppable force in football. It clicks at about 96%.
And here's the beauty of it.
By the way, who the fuck is calling you, dude?
I love it, right? It was just like, how is that happening, right?
What's going on?
How did that happen right now? I can't even believe it.
Take your phone and throw it off your desk.
I just couldn't believe it. I'm yelling at Allie, like, how is it possible? I actually think it's a dust buster that's like stuck on that Levi must have like thrown in the room and that I may have to go get. I can't believe it. But I'll say this about brotherly shove. Even in the game against the Chiefs, the league, not the league, but even when they were stopped on 3rd and goal against the Chiefs after the Devontae Smith catch, they, of course, converted on 4th down, but even the review showed that Hurts had broken the plane in that one. So even the failed tush push to this point also succeeded. I'm so glad that you said it. And Damon, it's the complaining about it that is also so impossible to believe for me in a league of grown men. This is spilled milk in a way that I can't even explain. How is this unfair? I just want to know, how is this play unfair? I just don't even understand it.
Not in my mind. It is fair. It is a football play. It is all the things football in short yardage is supposed to be about. It is nothing more than a quarterback sneak. What the fuck are we talking about? This is not something that the Eagles have invented, but it is something that they've perfected. So
it's a great call. It's a great call.
It is the single most easy to bet on success in all of sports right now. There is not a single pitcher delivering performance. The brotherly shove is the Paul Skeens of this league right now. It's just unbeatable. It just really is. And the only
most beatable valuable
is for the Pirates.
That's right. Most valuable push, MVP, most valuable push MVP, is definitely that one.
Valuable push. I love it, Sammy. So, hey, you spent so many years in TV, sports TV, that I feel like you're the right guy to ask about this. Obviously, we live in a very odd world right now. Jimmy Kimmel, and I don't want to hear that is cancel culture. That the culture didn't cancel Jimmy Kimmel. A government entity, specifically because they didn't like his messaging, canceled Jimmy Kimmel. All you First Amendment nuts, if you don't argue for Jimmy Kimmel to come back on, you never believed in the First Amendment in the first place, and you're a bunch of hypocrites, which we've been saying about you for years now, and you prove it every single day. So fuck all of you. Having said that, as much as this is the disgusting action of a venomous government, it's also the lever that the network was wanting to pull, I'm sure, anyways, because late night TV does not draw the eyeballs, therefore cannot provide the profitability. But contracts have been signed, things have been agreed to, and we're going to have to lose a lot of money in late night going forward, because that's just, I have a feeling, did ABC cave like a bunch of bitches? You bet they did. Are they a bunch of, just absolute rollover and die ass kissers? That is true. But I believe that this just allowed them to make a decision that they've been wanting to make for a while anyways. Having said that, Do you know who's going to try to get this job? I don't want to talk about this from a political standpoint.
No. I'm fascinated for what you're about to say. I think I know where you're going on this, and I think it could work, even though we've seen a version of it that didn't exactly work. But
Stephen A. Smith wants this job. Stephen A. Smith is going to do everything he can to get this job, and they're probably going to give it to him. Because asking anyone to do anything in front of a microphone other than Stephen A. Smith doesn't seem to be a thought pattern that ESPN ever has. Outside of Pat McAfee gets a show in the middle of the day, it's Stephen A. Smith for everything else. And I really don't understand why he is now making $40 million a year, which was, I think, drawn out or hammered out in a athletic piece. He makes like $30 million a year from ESPN and another 12 from Sirius. What is Sirius XM paying Stephen A. Smith $10-12 million a year to host that radio show for? I don't get that at all. I don't get Stephen A. Smith at all. I really don't. To me, the key to his success is the platform that he's on, not what he's actually saying. So why not? I would say this, Sam. I'm all for anybody making as much money as humanly possible. God bless you. But I would rather ESPN pay 4 dudes $10 million a year each than one dude $40 million a year to be the overexposed. He's on everything. Everybody needs an off season. Even broadcasters. Stephen A. Smith was not meant to be our man for all seasons.
I respect the hell out of Stephen A. Smith in the arc of his career.
He's a hard worker, man. There's no doubt. He puts in man hours.
And he put them in. Look, there's sort of a traditional path to getting where you're going. In Damon, you forged the fire in cities you never thought you'd have to live in to become a radio host. Like there's a lot of like getting and doing what matters to build the blocks to get where you have to be. And Stephen A. Smith he was the Philadelphia, he was the Sixers specifically, basically beat writer. Okay. And look, it happened at a great time when it ignited on Larry Brown and Allen Iverson. And he became a little bit of a voice of that, much in the way Windhorse was with the Heatles, with LeBron and the Heat. And Stephen A. was that person and turned it into something. And frankly, had a stint at ESPN, left it, was at Fox Sports Radio where I was with him for a few years. And JT, we were very fond and loved being with Stephen A. And then went from that where he was basically told like, okay, you're doing a morning show here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Went back to ESPN and created what is now the empire of Stephen A. Smith. So I love the arc of what Stephen A. Smith has done. Also, and maybe I find myself, I've defended him for something that people have said before. To what you just said is the most important point you made. Having an opinion about everything in the world will put you in position to be quote unquote exposed. You will be put in a position that you are asked by a producer and therefore asked by a host on a show to answer something that is not exactly in your wheelhouse, that you're not even that passionate about. And that happens to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. is put in a position too often to be talking about something that he otherwise may not even care that much about.
He's seeking it. Dude, Stephen A. Smith, if you asked him right now, 100% of your career is involved with ESPN, or 50% of your career is on ESPN and the other 50% is on Fox News, that's the career he would take. He wants to be a political mover. He wants what Joe Rogan has.
He's not far either at this point. He's just not. And maybe he's as poised as Joe to be that next guy. I could see it happening. I'll only say this much. Stephen A. had what was essentially a late night show on ESPN. That first stint at ESPN he was given, he walked out on stage. He did a little bit of a monologue. He had guests. It was
nighttime cold pizza.
It was that. And I wish I'm going to get the name eventually for what it was. But Stephen A. Smith had a show like this, and it didn't work on that platform in that way at that time. He's a much different person now. Do I think it would work? I guess it's your definition of what works, because Jimmy Kimmel was working. Jimmy Kimmel is popular. Jimmy Kimmel is liked by a lot of people. Jimmy Kimmel will land on his feet somewhere else, whatever it is that he does and chooses to do after this. Stephen A. Smith could also be this person, could also be wildly successful in that seat. I don't think it's impossible. I don't share the disdain for where Stephen A. is that you do, because I respect that he put incredible work in so many decades ago to be where he is now. And his voice and look, an executive, Damon, is going to simply look at when you talk, are people reacting to you? And Stephen A is a yes to that question.
People do. That's absolutely. And look, it's we finally found the thing that sells better than sex. That thing is outrage. And for whatever reason, Stephen A. Smith, gins up the outrage machine for a lot of reasons, because of the things he says. I think probably because of the way he says it, because of the way he looks for some people is enough to be, get people upset. I just think that Stephen A. Smith has certainly a spot, but boy, is that spot overblown. And I really do think that anyone, given the platform that he has, could have a degree of his success where if you remove that platform from him, I don't think that everyone is seeking Stephen A. Smith out in the way that ESPN would assume they are. To me, I don't care anymore. Like, I know whatever he is about to say is going to be oversaid. It's going to be overly inflammatory. It's for show more than it is for analysis. But people obviously gobble that up.
And I'll just tell everybody the name of the show. If you want to go back, the first iteration of Stephen A. Quite Frankly was the name of the show.
Quite Frankly,
which was a catchphrase of his. Yeah, which was a catchphrase of his, and it was again by design. The show made sense. It just didn't catch fire.
By the way, what do you think? What's her last name? Is it? I don't even know, because I very rarely watch the show, if at all. What's Molly Qerim about to do next? I mean, she's beautiful enough to be hired by a lot of places, but I'm going to tell you right now, I wonder if she doesn't just totally vanish from here, because all she ever was the hot chick who knew how to get from the A block to the B block. She offered nothing but traffic copping the show. She is, I don't understand what she thinks she's about to go do now in sports that will give her more money, a better platform than leaving that show. I don't get that at all. Say whatever you want about Joy Taylor and how she conducted business. At least she said things and was a little bit of an opinionist, where all Molly is that's right, Brian Windhorst. What do you think? I mean,
there's not been a lot of topics that you and I've discussed where I could say, not only is my opinion irrelevant, but I haven't even deciphered whether or not it's worth me having an opinion on this. Molly to me was there. And in the epitome of the term that you can be replaced by anybody, she probably fits that mold. And I was going to bring up Joy. You cannot host a podcast, host a radio show without having significant opinions and knowledge behind what you do. Joy Taylor is a hard fucking worker, knows her shit, and absolutely busted it to get where she is. I'll say that about Joy, and I respect the hell out of Joy in that way. Molly, I don't know the arc of her career that way, but I can only say that big news of Stephen A. Smith leaving that show is obviously monumental. And the idea that Molly is there or not, just to me, I just look at it and I go, huh. That's the equivalent of, huh. Okay.
Yeah. I just, good luck with that, Molly. I think you're about to enter the Michelle Beadle world of fame, where, you thought you were going to do really well without ESPN propping your career up. And we basically have not heard of you since. I think that's where she's going. Are you ready?
Just saying.
Backwards in history.
I am. I just want to say one thing. I just want to follow up my just saying. Put this on the screen real quick. I just want to remind everyone. I was so upset last week. Each week, Damon and I constantly, we just saying is a term that I can't stand, because when you're just saying, you are saying it. So here I am, just saying, and I want to say this again.
It really grinds my gears.
Quarterback statistics have changed forever in this league. It's not that I hate these statistics. I don't like default statistics on quarterbacks anymore. The quarterback position has changed so dramatically. This is the end of the Monday Night Football game where Baker Mayfield absolutely stole the game from the Texans. Okay, let's remember that. The final drive by Baker Mayfield, he now leads the league. He went from 22 to 23 over the last 3 seasons. Comeback victories, the most in the league in the fourth quarter or overtime. That's incredible. That's Baker Mayfield, who we just didn't give the MVP to, but over the course of 3 years, maybe I would. This statistic at the end of this game, and by the way, they let the clock run without calling one of their timeouts. You're down 18 to 9 seconds to ultimately walk off the Texans. Baker Mayfield, the statistic on the screen that you're all seeing for those that are listening, says Baker Mayfield this drive is 7 of 9 for 63 yards.
But they don't have rushing yards.
My just saying last week was, do not tell me what a quarterback did in a game. Do not compare quarterbacks to each other in a game without including total yards or telling me also what the rushing yards were. The MVP of this league rushes his balls off. The runner up to MVP is Lamar Jackson, who rushes his ass off. The Super Bowl MVP scores a rushing touchdown every single week. And right now in football, I'll click ahead, the rushing leader of the Kansas City Chiefs, it's Patrick Mahomes, okay? Yeah. This is a league that what the quarterback does with his feet, it matters. It matters every single game. When he's not doing it, it's interesting. And when he's doing it, he's interesting. Baker Mayfield on this drive, on this final drive, the statistic you want to put up there is he's 7 of 9 for 63 yards. Can I remind everyone what else he did on this particular drive? He ran for 15 yards on 4th and 10. Was that an important play? Was that an important play in this game where he rushed for 15 yards on 4th down to extend the drive and ultimately win the game? Stop. Just everybody in your system change the default from completions and attempts and passing yards. It does not tell the story. I'm just saying, end of rant.
Okay. So I'm just saying I'm not going to get upset about any graphic. Here's what I am upset about. I'm upset that Jerry Jones has done everything he can to win the Super Bowl for the Green Bay Packers this year. Jerry Jones, dude, this guy, his decisions might win the Super Bowl, but not for the Cowboys. I'm just saying that I'm pissed off that I am watching the Green Bay Packers going, oh, holy shit, there could really be something there now. And this Micah Parsons deal could be what puts them over the top. That's what pisses me off. Not some guy sitting in a truck going, I forgot to put the rushing yards up there. But you are right. The biggest play in this series was made with his legs on 4th down, and that doesn't even reflect that in that stat right there. So let's do better, and let's just do better for Sam. Let's just make Sammy happy. That's all I want a happier Sam Betesh when he's watching football on one of the 9 TVs in his living room. Yes. Here we go. Are you ready for Today in History? You're going to like this one because it starts with Scotty Bowman. Happy birthday, yes. Scotty Bowman, 92 years old today. He is the winningest coach in NHL history. 14 Stanley Cups attached to him, either as coach or a front office guy or an advisor. 14 Stanley Cups in the hands of Scotty Bowman, turning 92 today. Happy birthday, Scotty Bowman.
For those that understand what Phil Jackson did in the NBA, this is what Scotty Bowman did in the NHL. I am a hockey guy. Scotty Bowman, for 2 different franchises, created dynasties. And I don't even understand how unfathomable that is to do in 2 different buildings to create that twice. Good luck to Belichick. We'll try to do it now in North Carolina, but it's impossible. How can you recreate that and do it twice? Phil Jackson almost did it 3 times when you look at it. Scotty Bowman, though, with the Penguins and frankly, even the Canadians a little bit, but certainly with the Red Wings. Wow, what he did in this league.
Happy birthday to Jada Pinkett Smith and her follically challenged head. She is 54 years old today. Happy birthday to, I guess he was a rapper, but it was Pimp My Ride that we best know Exhibit for. Yes. Exhibit turns 51 years old today. I got to be honest with you. I loved Pimp My Ride. That was like the last great original show that I thought was on MTV. Happy 54th birthday to the only cancer survivor that no one has any sympathy for, not left any. Lance Armstrong. Happy 54th birthday, you dick.
The Livestrong bracelet, is that just forever? Like, is that just it's the most regrettable item that anyone could have, right? For what it stands for then and what it stands for now. Well, I don't know that there's a more regrettable item to own.
You got hoodwinked. Absolutely, you did. Happy 50th birthday to Ted Lasso. Jason Sudeikis today turns 50. Speaking of soccer, Ronaldo turns 49 years old today.
Good for Ronaldo.
Patrick Schwarzenegger. So I didn't even know Patrick Schwarzenegger was trying to have a career in Hollywood until he was in White Lotus. Happy 32nd birthday to Patrick Schwarzenegger. And speaking of soccer, Happy 27th birthday to Christian Pulisic, one of the 4 or 5 American-born soccer players that I could ever name. Here it is. Here's the list of American-born soccer players I can name. Christian Pulisic, Landon Donovan, Freddie Adu. Is that guy even still out there?
He's out there.
And then
come on,
Randy Chastain. That's it.
Good for you. I was going to give Alexi Lawless.
Alexi Lawless. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's no, it's true. Look, soccer is one of those. I tried hard with soccer, and I am a hockey guy, so I'm sort of like on the island there with hockey. I can't get there with soccer. It's with soccer. Here's the problem: Americans enjoy a rest period. Americans really enjoy that we know a season is so long, and then we can kind of get, recreate like the off season in the NFL. We're so in love with because we know that there aren't games. We can just like build the rosters in our head and get ready for the next season. I can't follow the soccer calendar. I don't know what ends and what begins and what tournament's supposed to matter. And guys are playing for numerous teams at the same time. I've tried. Someone one day will boil this down for me, but I can't put my finger on it.
I can't get into any sport where faking injury is a key part of strategy. It's just not for me. I'm sorry. It's just not for me. Today in 1793, a guy named George Washington laid the cornerstone of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So cornerstone going in today in 1793. In 1848, baseball ruled that you don't have to tag the runner at first. You can simply step on the base. The forced out at first was invented today. In 1848, baseball ruled that a first baseman can tag the base instead of the runner for that first out of the game.
So remember when A-Rod knocked the ball out of, I think it was a Red Sox-Yankees game, and A-Rod sort of knocked the ball out of the first base going, the slap.
Paul O'Neill, was he slapping that ball out of Paul O'Neill's glove?
So when A-Rod did that, it reminded me of maybe, could you imagine if always you had to tag the runner? And I didn't even know there was a world in which that existed. And I bet that guys used that strategy back then, Damon. I bet that was a huge part of it, right? If I can knock the ball, if he's trying to tag me, if I can either knock the ball away, I'm sure there were awkward injuries. And finally someone figured out, oh, what if you just throw the ball to first and get it over with?
I mean, think about it. Baseball, but you can cause a fumble? I mean, you're telling me I can swipe down and cause a fumble here? So, no, there you go. You can step on the bag, and there is your out. By the way, today in 1851, the very first edition of what was called the New York Daily Times, now called the New York Times, was published. There you go.
They did all right. They're going to make it.
I don't know.
Yeah, ultimately, for another 50 years, I don't know, but they had quite a run.
Today, in 1927, 18 radio stations officially combined for the CBS Columbia Broadcasting System. It went on the air, and we had our first network in 1927, 18 stations. Today, in 1964, da-na-na-na, 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 na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na. The Addams Family debuted today on ABC in 1964. By the way, a year later, same day, in 1965, Get Smart and I Dream of Jeannie both debuted. I Dream of Jeannie, of course, what's her name? The woman who played Jeannie went to Lincoln High School in San Francisco, California, which is also the alma mater of its greatest living alumni, Jillian Bruce.
That's wow. Okay, I'm not going to add to that. I'm not going to add to that. I Dream of Jeannie was perfect, and I enjoyed every iteration of it.
It's the only show that changes. Well, not the only show, but it's like they used to just change characters right in the middle of a sitcom. Be like, hey, the new dad is a new dad. There you go. Just change.
The new Dan, I believe, is what it was. Yeah, no, the new Darren. The new Darren. That's what it was.
It was the new Darren. Yeah, and it was wasn't it
Bewitched? Was that Bewitched? Bewitched was the new Darren.
And it was like the first guy's name was Dick Sargent, but then the guy's name was Sergeant something in the show. And so you're changing your dicks and your sergeants all at the same time. So it was weird. Okay, here we go. We move along. It's amazing how there's all this world history. Then you get to the United States, and it's just like today this show came on TV. Our history is we could goose it up a little bit. Today in 1970, the left-handed genius that was Jimi Hendrix passed away at the age of 27. He died in London, an overdose on barbiturates. Jimi Hendrix should still be playing the guitar today.
Oh,
that sucks. Let's see. Today in 1975, you want to talk about stories that came out of San Francisco? Patty Hearst captured by FBI agents. She was indicted and she got kidnapped. But what I think she really did was have those guys run a train on her, and I think she had a little rich girl fun time. And it was really weird. Patty Hearst, what you are is rich girl gone bad. That's what you really were. Let's be honest. We know what you're doing. Today in 1978, even though she just recently left us, a tight sweatered Lonnie Anderson was the breakout star of WKRP in Cincinnati, which premiered today on CBS. And then finally, today in 1987, and then apparently nothing happened between this event and 87 to today in 2025, because we're ending with this. Today in 1987, DuckTales premiered in syndication. DuckTales.
Scrooge McDuck in that. And we all just wanted to jump into that pile of money with Scrooge McDuck from the beginning of that show.
By the way, you break every bone in your body if you tried to jump into a river of nickels. I mean, come on,
it's almost like concrete. Yes. I want to see that room. I don't want to jump into it in that way. I don't want to dive into it. I do want to see that room, though.
Give me the vault. Give me the vault. Let me dive in, but give me some dollar bills that's softer than the actual gold coin.
Scrooge McDuck.
Huey, Dewey, Louie. I mean, I was
so
watching a little of it with my boys the other day. It doesn't really hold up very well.
I can imagine that's not. Yeah.
Get like Launchpad McQuack with the guy that they brought in to be the duck who flew the plane. Anyway, thank you all so very, very much for hanging out with us here on a Thursday. It was wonderful to have you here. And if on your way out, you would be so generous to give us a like and a subscribe across both channels, we certainly would appreciate it. I believe we have said thank you to all of our supers, so many coming from PWS. And today we had MSQ also coming in with multiple supers. Thank you to Joseph Ernberg and his positivity about the 49ers, as always, for being a part of today's show. And we want to thank all of you for being a part of today's show. We thank our sponsor, Sleeper, for being a part of today's show. And if you want to get some action going around tonight's Thursday night game, download that Sleeper app right now. It is one of the fastest growing apps you will find anywhere in fantasy. Check out the over-unders on player props tonight. You think you got 3 to put together in a parlay. Winner, chicken dinner. Good luck to all of you. And when you do sign up for Sleeper, please go to the link in the description of today's video, if you would please, and use the promo code Damon when you sign up to get a $100 deposit match on your very first deposit up to $100. We will tell you that our man Ike has the most delicious sandwich just waiting for you at his restaurant. Go find out for yourself. And when you do find out, make sure you sign up for that Love Rewards program. You get a free sandwich when you sign up. You get prizes and purchases and more when you sign up. Free drinks, free chips. And join us on Saturday, October 4th, starting at 4:20 at the Dubliner in West Portal. We hope to see you there for another Plus Mania. But that's a great place to go. For the best poured Guinness in all of San Francisco, you need a little shot of J-Mo to knock that back. Oh, yeah, they got you set up. And let's face it, the Giants are playing the Dodgers this upcoming weekend, so you're probably going to have to drink a little to get through that. Hopefully, you won't need to drink through Mac Jones's start at all. And we'll be able to get you through that with the live stream that we do right here. So hit like, subscribe, notify. Sammy, anything else to let the people know about today?
That's really it. Please check us out at Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. We love being here at Bruce Plus, Damon Bruce Plus. What a channel you have built here. We love being a part of it. Check us out also at Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. Andrew Siciliano, Sam Betesh. Tons of content from both of us there, including this great show, which we stream along with Damon. And love to all of you for being here with us.
Thank you for spending some of your valuable time with us. We do appreciate it. And we'll just remind you that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, they're gone.